Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and I am happy. I gotta be honest, I'm pretty excited for today's find. So what you're looking at is not just any ordinary PlayStation 3, but it is in fact a backwards compatible PlayStation 3. But the thing that really blows my mind here is that this is the first backwards compatible PlayStation 3 that I've found that not only has all of its pieces, right? Like usually when I see these things, they're completely destroyed. Now don't get me wrong, this thing is not in perfect condition, but it's definitely in serviceable condition, right? It's in pretty good shape. This shell is probably the worst of it because it probably has most of the scratches, which you can probably see through the video here. But outside of that, I mean, the little flap here, or the little, the little shell or curtain or whatever you would want to call this is fully functional. The hinges aren't bad at all. It's in great shape. It's got all of the ports. All of the ports are in great shape. And then you have the most important thing, right? Is that it powers on. Whoops, I gotta actually turn it on from back here. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So it actually powers on, which is the thing that I was the most nervous about, because whenever I pick these things up, it's always a gamble. And I'm going to talk about where I found this and how I found this, but just kind of want to go ahead and show that awesomeness here. So it does work, as you can see, fully functional. It's all powering on and everything. And that's one of the biggest fears, is that these backwards compatible PlayStation 3s, you always worry that there's going to be something wrong or anything like that. But this one, when I powered it on, no issues at all, nothing like that. And then of course, you got to test it out, right? Because we know that these backwards compatible PlayStation 3s, we know that they can play PlayStation 1 games. Obviously, they can play PlayStation 3 games, but they're supposed to be able to play PlayStation 2 games. And so I've got a cool little PlayStation 2 game right here that I'm going to bust out. And this is Scalar on the PlayStation 2. A pretty decent PlayStation 2 game, I might add. Played a little bit of this the other day. And so we've got Scalar here, and we're going to just go ahead and pop this bad boy in. And yeah, so this PlayStation 3 did come with all the hookups, as well as a pretty decently shaped controller. This controller pretty much just needs a wipe down. I have a number of PlayStation 3 controllers in my collection, so even if this one were to be like, absolutely thrashed, I would have had plenty of replacements for it. But this one is actually not bad. Like I said, it just needs a wipe down. Now I put the PlayStation 2 game in. It says to say, no, I'm not gonna save any of the data here. This is just for demonstration purposes only. And so I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like, and let's just make sure it works. And where's the PlayStation 2 at? Don't hold out on me now. PlayStation 2, look at that. So that is amazing right there. Being able to have this PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 that now plays all of my PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3 games. This is a huge lift for me. It actually, kind of allows me to put away a lot of the a couple of my older consoles that I had out. So I did have my PlayStation 2 out and my PlayStation 3 out, but I don't need to keep that out anymore. Now, interesting find here today. So I actually was on my way to my local thrift store because I had some items to donate. And while I was there, I poked my head in just to see what was available. And there were like a lot of PlayStation 3s there. And once I got there, I kind of saw like, the normal basket hangers. If you're wondering what a basket hanger is, it's basically a person who literally hangs out in a thrift store all day long, or at least half the day. They'll, like, if the thrift store opens at 10, they'll be in they'll stand outside for at least 30 minutes to an hour waiting for it to open. And then they'll stay there for, at a bare minimum, 3 or 4 hours, half the day, until it seems like they've pretty much put out all of their inventory for that day. And they'll just spend 4 hours just cherry picking and cherry picking and cherry picking all of the items that they think might have some value. So I wasn't there at the start of the day, so I pretty much assumed that, I hadn't gotten there in time. I figured that all the good stuff was going to be gone. which at first glance, it did look like a lot of the good stuff was gone. But then once I took a closer look, I did see a few PlayStation 3s, and I was gonna walk by them because clearly I'm not short on PlayStation 3s. I've got two right there in that corner. But once I took a closer look at this PlayStation 3, I realized that this one was actually backwards compatible, because it did have the extra ports. I asked to see it just to be sure, because you always want to make sure that this flap right here is functional. I try not to buy these in too much damage. And thankfully, the worst part about this console was this, just that it had a few scratches on it. Nothing too crazy. But as you can see, Scalar is in there. I've got it loaded up and it's working. It's playing. It's loading pretty fast. Well, not pretty fast, but it's loading. It's loading pretty well. I feel like this loads a little bit faster than it would on a PlayStation 2. And I'm only saying that because I recently just played this game on a PlayStation 2 and the load times were a little bit longer. But as you can see, very clear. Just great gameplay on this one. I really like this game because it's super colorful, it's super bright and everything like that. So yeah, always fun to find really good finds out in the wild. And I haven't found like a real like hit. To me, this is like a banger of a pickup. It's not a game, but it's a console, and it's a very, very difficult console to find. This one was on sale for 120, so scooped it up for 120. And from what I've been seeing, a lot of these consoles are selling for anywhere between 250 and 300 bucks. So that was a really good deal. And usually when they sell for 250 to 300, it's just for just the console. It's not including any hookups or anything like that. Although, you know, a PlayStation 3 controller doesn't have a ton of value. Those are like 10 to 15 bucks anyway. But just to be able to get the entire package, to get the console in decent shape, like I said, this thing is in pretty decent shape. You see it's got the ports down there. Whoops, I think I just ejected the game by accident. Let me put that back in there. But as you can see, it's got the ports down there, the extra USB ports. Like I said, when you open this flap, it's got, can I open? These things are heavy, by the way. Very heavy console. As you can see, when you open up the flaps, you got the extra ports for the different cards, the SD and things like that. So really, really dope find, man. Sick addition to the collection. And I'm just totally stoked to be able to snag it up. So I can check this one off my wish list, and move forward. What you can expect from me, I did drop a video earlier today just talking about a lot of the nostalgic impact of the Sega Genesis. If you haven't had a chance to check that video out, go check that one out. And I'll probably be on later on today, just doing a little bit of live streaming. I think tonight is the last night of the second round of the playoffs, because from what I understand, I think the Timberwolves already beat the Warriors. The Thunder, I think this is their last. They've got one more. If they're able to beat the Nuggets in this next game, that will end that series. And then the Knicks have one more game to play, and then that series is over. So we're getting to the end of the second round of the playoffs, man. And so I may want to try and catch some of that game. But other than that, I'll probably do some streaming tonight of some Sega Genesis stuff. I'm still working on my streaming setup, so be on the lookout for that. And I'm also going to be working on more like edited videos. I do kind of want to make them a little bit more cinematic for you guys. So a few things that I'm just doing to change things up on the channel. But outside of that, that does it for me. It's the Y2K Collector. I'll be back. I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.